If your axolotl goes completely still at night, just hovering there, barely moving, watching something you cannot see, do you actually know what is happening? There's something almost otherworldly about an axolotl at rest. That extraordinary face, the feathery gills drifting like smoke in slow water. Still, present, ancient. Most owners see it and think, perfectly content. Tank is good. Temperature is fine. Nothing to worry about. But what if that stillness is not contentment at all? What if it is something far more complex? Something rooted in biology that goes back millions of years, and something that science is only now beginning to decode. Because there are things your axolotl does at night that most owners miss completely. Messages being sent in the only language they have. And if you have been reading them wrong, which most people quietly are, you've been missing something important every single evening. And there is one behavior, in particular, I need you to stay for. Because when your axolotl does a specific thing, it is not a quirk. It is not random. It is one of the clearest signals they can give you. And we are going to get to it at number 7. Let's talk about what is actually going on. 1, they are not just existing. They are evaluating. The easy assumption is that axolotls are passive creatures. They float. They wait. They eat. Simple animals living simple lives in a glass box. That assumption is wrong. Axolotls possess what researchers call a lateral line system, a network of sensory organs running along their body that detects minute pressure changes, vibrations, and water movement in complete darkness. In the wild, this is how they hunt. This is how they survive. This is how they navigate a world where sight alone is not enough. At night, when the lights go down and your house falls quiet, that system wakes up. Your axolotl is not just sitting there. It is reading the water, reading the room, detecting the vibration of your footsteps across the floor, the hum of the filter, any shift in pressure that tells them something has changed. That stillness you see is not emptiness. It is focused attention. Night is not when your axolotl powers down. Night is when it becomes most itself. 2, the gills are a live readout of their inner state. Watch the gills, not casually, closely, because those feathery filaments are not just for breathing. They are the most visible indicator of your axolotl's stress, comfort, health, and emotional baseline. And most owners never learn to read them. Gills are full, branching, and gently fanning. This is an axolotl at ease. Oxygen is being absorbed efficiently. The animal is not working hard. It trusts its environment. Gills are curled forward or tucked down. Pay attention. This is the body pulling inward. A subtle signal that something is not right. Water chemistry, temperature, stress, or the early signs of illness. And then there is the rapid flare. A sudden, fast extension of the gills that lasts only a second. Most owners miss it entirely because it happens so fast. But researchers studying axolotl stress responses have identified this as a startle reflex, the animal's equivalent of a sharp intake of breath. Here is the part most people never consider. If you are seeing this at night, when the tank should be at its calmest, something in their environment is triggering it. And finding that source matters far more than most owners realize. 3, their night patrol has a purpose. If you have ever turned on a dim light after midnight and found your axolotl moving slowly, deliberately along the bottom of the tank, you are watching something ancient. Axolotls are crepuscular and nocturnal hunters. Their wild ancestors in the lakes of Xochimilco navigated murky, cold water in near total darkness to find prey. That wiring does not disappear because the prey is now pellets dropped from above at 6 p.m. The night patrol is a survival behavior still running in the background of a domesticated animal. And the route matters. A healthy, settled axolotl tends to move through familiar territory in a consistent pattern. Their tank becomes a known map. They learn where the hiding spots are, where the current is strongest, where the surface is. A sudden change in that pattern, pacing behavior, repetitive circling, unusual surface breathing at night, is not quirky. It is communication. It is your axolotl telling you something has shifted. And if this is the first time you are hearing this, go ahead and subscribe. Every video on this channel is built around what the science actually says, not what we assume. For the stillness has a shape. Not all stillness is the same. And once you know the difference, you will never look at your axolotl resting the same way again. The neutral float, body level, gills relaxed, eyes forward or slightly down. This is baseline. This is peace. This is an animal that feels completely safe in its water. The bottom press. The axolotl lies flat against the substrate, limbs slightly tucked, barely moving. In the wild, this is camouflage behavior, making yourself as invisible as possible. In a tank, it can mean one of two things. Either your axolotl is at deep rest, fully at ease, or it is experiencing discomfort, and instinct is telling it to disappear. Context is everything. A bottom press after a feed in a cool and dark tank. After hours of normal activity, rest. A bottom press that has been going on for days, combined with reduced appetite and folded gills, that is something else entirely. The tilt, this one matters. An axolotl that consistently rests or floats at an angle, particularly nose up or listing to one side, may be dealing with a buoyancy issue. The lateral line is struggling to calibrate. This is a conversation with your vet worth having sooner rather than later. 5. They have learned your schedule without being taught. Axolotls have no business knowing what time you come home. They have no reason to anticipate your presence at the glass. Their ancestors in lake-fed channels had no concept of a human dinner routine. And yet, owners who pay close attention consistently notice that their bonded axolotl becomes more active in the period before regular feeding times, or before the owner's typical evening interaction with the tank. It is not magic. It is memory and association built through consistent repetition. Research into amphibian cognition has demonstrated that axolotls can form conditioned associations, connecting environmental cues, including vibrations, lighting changes in human presence, with predictable outcomes. Your footsteps, the particular vibration of you approaching, the moment the room light changes. Their brain has built a model of your routine. And at night, when everything is still and the lateral line is fully active, that model is being updated. Your axolotl is not indifferent to you. It knows you are there. It has been paying attention far longer than you realized. 6. Their skin is talking. This is the one most owners overlook completely because it requires watching your axolotl in darkness or in very dim light, when a true nighttime behavior becomes visible. Axolotls have a mild degree of physiological color chain capacity. Not dramatic, not like a chameleon, but real. The pigmentation in their skin and the vascularization visible beneath it can shift subtly based on temperature, stress, health, and light exposure. A healthy, comfortable axolotl at night will often appear slightly paler. The skin is relaxed. The blood vessels are not congested. This is the axolotl equivalent of a resting heart rate. Redness, particularly in the gills, the undersides of the limbs, or patches along the body. This is the signal worth knowing, not the gentle pink of healthy gill tissue, the deeper, angrier flush of a circulatory system under stress. Poor water quality, temperature stress, infection beginning beneath the surface. Your axolotl cannot tell you when something is wrong, but at night in the quiet, the body is telling you anyway. You just have to learn how to look. 7. When they stop moving entirely. Pay very close attention. An axolotl has always been active at night and suddenly is not. This is what I have been building toward. Not the peaceful resting stillness. Not the deep bottom press of a comfortable animal at ease. The absence of movement that was not there before. The animal that used to patrol, used to drift, used to emerge at the glass, and now simply does not. The first thing to consider is always the water, before anything else. Parameters that have shifted, even slightly, even subtly, can cause an axolotl to shut down in ways that look behavioral but are entirely physiological. Temperature creep. Ammonia, a filter running less efficiently than it was. Test the water before you do anything else. But the water is fine. If nothing has changed, If the tank is exactly as it was last week and the week before, then listen carefully to what the stillness is saying. Animals do not show weakness when they can avoid it. It is one of the oldest survival mechanisms that exists. Hide what is wrong. Do not let the vulnerability show. An axolotl that has gone quiet in a way that feels different. Gills tucked, appetite reduced, no response to your presence at the glass. Maybe protecting itself in the only way it knows how? That is when the vet conversation cannot wait. You brought this animal into a glass world that has no seasons, no predators, no wild. In exchange for that, it cannot find its own help. It cannot leave. It cannot ask. It can only change its behavior in the hope that you are watching closely enough to notice. Watch closely. The next time you check on your axolotl after midnight, that still, ancient creature hovering in the dark, gills fanning slowly, reading everything the water carries, you will know what you are looking at. Not a passive animal, not a simple pet. An animal that has been paying attention to you since the moment you brought it home. Building a map of your movements. Calibrating to your rhythms. Communicating in a language made entirely of stillness, of gill and skin and water. Every night, without being asked, it shows up in that glass world. It knows you are there. It has always known. Now you know, too.